Good morning. Good morning, good morning. So we're going to get started right off the bat with our first two community songs. I'm going to turn it over to the musicians. I invite you, wherever you are, to lift your voice. Let's fill this planet with some song. We need it.
Everything I need to know about what lies before me. Everything I need to know about what lies before me is available to me. It's available to me. To the mind of God within me. Everything I need to do. What lies before me, everything I need to do. What lies before me is available to me. It's available to me. To the mind of God within me. Everything I need to be whole. About what lies before me, everything I need to be whole. About what lies before me is available to me. It's available to me. To the mind of God within me. Everything I need to be at peace. About what lies before me, everything I need to be at peace. About what lies before me is available to me. It's available to me. To the mind of God within me. Everything I need to be strong. About what lies before me. Everything I need to be strong. About what lies before me is available to me. It's available to me. To the mind of God within. Everything I need to know. Everything I need to know. About what lies before me. Everything I need to know. About what lies before me is available to me. It's available to me. To the mind of God within me. To the mind of God within me. To the mind of God within me. I live for the spirit I am. I live for the spirit I am. Oh, I am, I am. I live for the spirit I am. I live for the spirit I am. Oh, I am, I am, I am. What I'm here for, I wonder, what am I in this world to do? What I'm here for is one thing. One thing I know is true. I live for the spirit I am. I live for the spirit I am. Oh, I am, I am. I live for the spirit I am. I live for the spirit I am. Oh, I am, I am, I am. Looking in the mirror, I'm asking, am I the change I long to see? You know the world is just a picture of what's inside of you and me. I live for the spirit I am. I live for the spirit I am. Oh, I am, I am. I live for the spirit I am. I live for the spirit I am. Oh, I am, I am, I am. The wonder of life, the air of the land and the sea. is a precious gift to me. In a world that's torn by war and strife, all we can do is claim love as our reality. I'll tell you, if you ask me what I'm in this world to do, I live for where I am. I live for where I am. Oh, I am. I live for where I am. I live for where I am. Oh, I am. I live for where I am. I live for where I am. Oh, I am. I live for where I am. I live for where I am. Oh, I am. Walking with the Spirit. Talking with the Spirit. We're moving with the Spirit. Improving with the Spirit. Let's mix it up with the Spirit. Gonna mix it with the Spirit. We're healing with the Spirit. Healing with the Spirit. I live for good I am. I live for good I am. Oh, I am, I am, I am. Thank you.
Good morning again. For those of you out there and those of you in here who may not know me, my name is Reverend Rafe Ellis. I am honored and privileged to be the senior minister here at Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. And it is my privilege to remind us of who and what we are as a community. We are a radically inclusive, spiritually progressive, supportive community that celebrates the diversity of creation. We strive to live authentic spiritual lives through a practical application of the teachings of science of mind. We engage in sacred practices that uplift our spirit, deepen our awareness, and ignite our soul's self-expression. We demonstrate active compassion to ourselves, to each other, and the world. We experience meaningful contribution through giving generously of our time, talents, and treasures. And we intentionally, on purpose, shamelessly, unapologetically promote our community and these teachings. And so if you're joining us through live stream today, you can immediately participate in that process by sharing this live stream feed on whatever social media platforms you play on. And so one of the things that we do every Sunday morning is our inclusion candle lighting ritual to actually demonstrate our inclusion. And we light these candles to celebrate the unity of all people, all faiths, all beings, all life. We light the first candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples. We light the second candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the third candle for Taoism, honoring the path of ultimate reality, the natural way. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the path of living, rewind. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the middle way and path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the teachings of Jesus as the path of love, forgiveness, and healing by the presence within. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the ninth candle for all forms of New Thought teachings, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practical application of universal spiritual principles of love and law. We light the 10th candle for absolute inclusivity, affirming that all are welcome and celebrated here. And we light this final candle, honoring the infinity of oneness as all creation, seen and unseen. Thank you, Deborah. So now I'm going to turn it back over to our musicians for our next community song.
Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I sing, it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
Little darling, the stars are shining into the faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here.
Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say
It's alright.
it's alright.
Thank you.
We've transitioned walking with the Rev during the week to sprinting with the Rev on Sunday morning. It's all worth it. That way Juanita gets to sing and I get some exercise. So this is our time of announcements. We are open in person. We are here. We are continuing, as we have all along, to follow the prevailing CDC local guidance in terms of masking. And so that current guidance is masks are strongly encouraged. They are not mandated. And so that is exactly what we're doing. If you feel safer wearing one, wear one. The big caveat is this: if you have anything that may possibly, potentially, in any realm, especially this physical realm, be contagious to another human being, stay home and participate via the live stream. Because while we want to share almost everything in community, there are things we don't want to share, and contagious physical stuff is one of those. That said, if you are here, everybody has a different comfort zone. And so we've implemented a bead system. And they're on the porch as you come in. If you want everybody to stay 6 feet away from you and not touch you, you wear a red strand of beads. If you're figuring it out one person at a time, you can wear a yellow strand of beads, and that communicates, check in with me before you just do something. If you're good with people hugging you and doing all of that, you can wear a green strand of beads, and that communicates all that to folks. And that way, you don't have to have the same conversation over and over and over. Why necklaces? Because necklaces are in the view of everybody. We thought about wristbands, but if I had a wristband on right now, you'd never see it because my sleeve would hide it. So that's why. The beads are sterilized, sanctified, every Sunday immediately after service. They are put on hangers, they are taken outside, they are sprayed with disinfectant that does in fact state on the label that it eliminates the COVID viruses, and then we leave them hanging in the sun while they dry, so whatever the spray doesn't do, the sun does. So we're keeping you safe. You can also, if you want to create your own safety zone around you, we have seat savers. As you come in the door, you can grab a couple of those, and we do ask that you only grab 2, one for either side, because it's really kind of unnecessary to put one behind you, one on either side, and one in front of you. But we do want you to feel safe, okay? All right, going deeper. I've gotten some feedback recently that perhaps a weekly thing is going too fast for folks to re-enter. So for now, we've canceled the weekly Going Deeper, and we will revisit that at some point. But I have something else coming for you, but it'll be here in a minute. So presence, passion, and purpose. This is a retreat being offered by Karen Drucker and Gary Lynn Floyd at the Ananda Center. That is happening April 29th through Sunday, May 1st. If you're interested in going to that, you can get additional information at either of their websites, karendrucker.com or garylynnfloyd.com. Change your thinking, change your life. That's what we teach. And so that class is starting Tuesday. Today is your last day to sign up for that. It's a $170 investment in yourself. We will be meeting here on Tuesdays from noon to 2:30 p.m. starting this coming Tuesday. Walking with the Rev. Still doing that. Still amazing. Still, every once in a while, I'm surprised by one of you either showing up in the parking lot or I meet folks on the path. Either way, it's a delightful time. I promise you, because I got feedback from somebody, because periodically I'll do a Facebook Live while I'm walking. If anybody is with me, the Facebook Live is not going to happen. I'm not even going to put anybody into position. So feel free to join me. You are safe from Facebook Live if you are with me. Not only will you get some exercise, you will be protected. Okay. So, I had a divine idea of a fun way to learn science of mind. And so I sat down with the glossary from the Science of Mind, a philosophy of faith, a way of life. And I have created, I believe it's 45 crossword puzzles that empower you to learn, because the glossary is actually more like a study guide than a dictionary, if you've ever explored that. And I learned a ton just putting these puzzles together. Now, here's the way it works. There are 22 or 23, I can't keep it all in my head, random puzzles. And then there is a puzzle for each letter of the alphabet in the glossary. So you can get all the A's or all the B's, or you can get random puzzles. Okay? You can buy one puzzle, you can buy the whole set of the alphabet puzzles, the whole set of the random puzzles, or you can buy the whole chow-chow. All right? And they are literally, the individual ones are priced at 10 cents a word. So the W's have 3 words, so that puzzle's 30 cents. They are internet-based, and the cool part is down in the bottom where the clues are, when you get it correct, you get a little green check mark. If you have it incorrect, you have a little red X. So you know if you're on target or not, because some of them will challenge you. The science of mind definitions are a little different than the ones we navigate from Webster's. Right? So it's an opportunity to learn some. It's also a fundraiser for the center. So that is on our website now. It is also at our Square store. So help yourself. The new thing that I'm adding is First Friday Fun Service. Now, this first one will be on April 1st. We will view the labyrinth, where, let's see if I can read that from here, where everything seems possible. Oh, thank you, Juanita. Where everything seems possible and nothing is what it appears. Okay? So we will view that movie, and then we will have whatever discussion we want to have about that. Now, I invite you, because of the time from 5 to 8, bring your dinner if you want. Right? I'll have tables set up. We'll try to do it in as much of a cafe style as we can. If you want to bring your dinner and have your dinner while we watch a movie and chat, you are welcome to do that. We will have some beverages and some snacks available for you to purchase if you would like. It is completely on a love offering basis. And for those of you who immediately went to concerns about copyrights, I have investigated to the nth degree, and we are within copyright laws to offer it as a service in a religious community. So we're all good. I'm never going to put us at risk. So we'll be doing this once a month. So if you have an idea about something that would be fun, whether it's a poetry slam, an open mic, a talent show, I'm wide open. This was just my first idea. Selfishly, because I absolutely love this movie, and it kind of feels like we're in the bog of eternal stench right now. And if you don't know what that is, then come watch the movie. All right, I think that's it for announcements. Am I correct, Juanita? Okay. So this is our time of inward shift. Our practitioner this morning, Deborah Ellis, will speak to us about our community value. Then she will bridge us into the musicians who will bridge us into our meditation. And then Deborah will bring us out of our meditation with our opening spiritual mind treatment and lead us in our affirmation.
Good morning, beloveds. So wonderful to see your beautiful faces here. So I get to touch the Rev Rafe's book. All right. So what I'm talking about this morning is our community value that you all chose, and that is integrity. And I want you to just gently let your eyes close if that feels comfortable for a moment. And just contemplate for yourself, when you hear the word integrity, what does that bring up for you? And just breathe into that for a moment. And I'll share what that brings up for me. Initially, for many moons, I have thought of integrity as honesty, up into including that cash register honesty. A little touch of something moral that I hadn't quite figured out. And character building. Those are the things that came up for me. So hold for you whatever that is. And I'd like to add to that this morning. So this is our textbook, The Science of Mind, and this holds those things that we talk about, the teachings and what we believe. And so when I went to the glossary to look up integrity, well, it wasn't in there. Interesting, right? And so I'm going to encourage you to, if you don't have a Science of Mind textbook, we do have them for sale in the bookstore, so you can get one, and they're not expensive. I don't know what the price of them is right this moment, but it's available to you. And what came up going through, and there's so much richness in here, is wholeness. And when I think about that, and I think about the first time I ever heard Ernest Holmes' voice, he was talking about a house divided against itself. I was like, what is he talking about? And so now I have flowed into addition to what I thought for so long, that there are universal principles that are operating. We don't need to do anything. They're just so. Just like the law of cause and effect, just like gravity. And when I align with those principles, there's a knowing in myself that I'm in integrity with whatever it is. So we don't talk about good and bad and right and wrong necessarily, but there is a place on 270 in this book that talks about what we believe about right and wrong. And basically what it says is that if it adds more life, if it's uplifting, and if it harms none, then it is right. And then, of course, the reverse of that it's not in alignment with universal truth and principle. So when I think of integrity now, I get these little, like when I know I'm going to do something or say something that's probably not in integrity, my whole body lets me know. Like I get a whole body no. Nope, you shouldn't do that. that would not be a good idea. That is not uplifting. It's not going to bring more life. It's, and it doesn't mean that I deny that in myself. Maybe there's a trusted person that I need to speak that to. Maybe I just need to speak it to myself in honesty. And the cool thing about self-honesty is it contained right in it, self-honesty. I have to be honest with me. It doesn't mean I have to go tell you. It just means I have to tell me, and I have to own it. So I want to leave you this morning with just this little piece in exploring, and I really want to encourage you to pick up this book and just start like exploring all these amazing things in here. So I put a little sticky in your book, Rafe. And now, was it my blue sticky or that one? I think it might have fell out. Well, I'm just going to read this one because they're all good. So this says faith. But faith is a mental, we'll just say integrity. Integrity, I changed the words in the book too. You can too if you want to. Especially the pronouns, because they're like man this and man that. And I'm like, I am not a man. Okay, so faith is mental attitude which is so convinced of its own idea which so completely accepts it that any contradiction is unthinkable and impossible. And so it is.
In this very room, there's quite enough love for one like me. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for one like me. And there's quite enough hope and quite enough power to chase away any gloom. For spirit, sweet
Allowing your next breath to be a little bit deeper than the one before. Recognizing that this very breath is breathing all of life. And it's this point of light, this place, this breath, where all of life interconnects. Where love is, where deep and abiding peace is, where joy, where perfection and beauty and wholeness is expressing in great majesty in and throughout all of creation. There is no spot where this love is not. It is indeed all there is, and it is mighty, it is powerful. It is that universal intelligence that is all-knowing, expressing perfectly as the life of all life. It is breathing me right now, and so from this place of this very breath that we all share together, I speak a word of blessing this morning, claiming, accepting, and affirming that there is a mighty love, that there's enough of it right here in this very room, right outside this door, right into this beloved town we call Grass Valley, out into Nevada City, moving, expressing, knowing itself as this love that I call God right now in this moment. And it is forever expanding and uplifting, and it is everywhere present in and through all in our world, this collective world we share together. So I'm knowing with great certainty that peace is everywhere present in and as all of our world and every heart. And so I'm accepting tender mercy this morning for every beloved, every sentient being, for all of life, whether it's that blade of grass, that beautiful spring flower that's peeking above to photosynthesize with the sun. It is everywhere. And I give great thanks for this spiritual community, for our beloved Reverend Rafe, for everyone who is in sacred service to this community, for every loving thought, for every breath of relief that we all sigh together, knowing that there is no separation, regardless of appearances. So thankful, so grateful this morning to be in service. So thankful that I woke up with the time change at the correct time. And I'm grateful for so much more. So I just wrap this all in glory and love, knowing there is so much more. And I anchor it now. And so it is. All right. Good morning, everybody. All right. So my name is Deborah Ellis, and I'm licensed and privileged to be your practitioner here this morning in service to Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. And just know how much I love you all. So I'm going to try to read this affirmation, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it, and then we'll read it together if you so choose. Thank you. Those tech people, they're amazing. Laughter reveals my wholeness. Reveals my wholeness. Let's say that again. Laughter reveals my wholeness. And so it is. Blessed be.
Every once in a while, all God's children get the divine night blues. They say my mind it is divine, but it feels like a trash heap sometimes. They say my mind it is divine, but it feels like a trash heap sometimes. Think I'll head down to Florence Avenue and get my attitude realigned. They say my thoughts are not my own, then who's that thinking inside my head? They say my thoughts are not my own, then who's that thinking inside my head? Who's working so hard in there? If that's not me doing all that work in there, please tell me it's not QAnon instead. Have you fallen in love with your brain? So read a magazine advertisement headline. Have I fallen in love with my brain? Trick question? Gray matter Valentine? I said, no, sir, I haven't, but could you introduce us sometime? They say my mind, it is divine, but sometimes it's of the petulant kind. It's peckish and it's peevish, till I'm reluctant to even call it mine. But I know there's a solution when I can get fear and love to rhyme.
Let's take a breath together. So speaking of that divine mind, it's interesting the timing of things, because as we explored living everyday wonder this morning, this month is about play, and all kinds of stuff broke loose at the beginning of the month that said, I don't want to play. And today's topic is a spoonful of sugar, a spoonful of humor is the medicine. Yes, I am conditioned by movies and TV. Mary Poppins is singing. And I don't know about you, but it's sometimes a little challenging to even imagine being humorous when so much that's happening just ain't funny. And interestingly enough, the root definition of humor has nothing to do, the English major over here shaking his head, he gets it, has nothing to do with funny. It has to do with bodily fluids. Blood, bile, and lymph, and the balance of those. That if we are in good humor, our physical being is in a good balance, physiologically. And I was like, they're not going to want to hear about that. But what I can tell you is my own experience. I laugh a lot, and I have the vital signs of a teenager, to the point where my poor doctor is oftentimes confused. My doctor will take my vitals and pause and look quizzically at me and take them again. And now we have this routine down where she will do that. I will look at her and go, don't be a hater. Because they're better than hers, and she's in better shape from the outside than I am. But apparently I'm in better shape on the inside than she is. Right? So to talk about humor this morning, I thought I would start with Hafiz. And I have to pull that up on my phone because that's where Hafiz is living at the moment. Because technology just helps. Hafiz said this: I sometimes forget that I was created for joy. My mind is too busy. My heart is too heavy for me to remember that I have been called to dance the sacred dance of life. I was created to smile, to love, to be lifted up, and to lift others up. O sacred one, untangle my feet from all that ensnares. Free my soul, that we might dance and that our dancing might be contagious. Maybe the reason our hearts are breaking open right now as we witness the pain and suffering of others is because some part of us knows we were designed to be loved and experience joy and beauty. Maybe. We forget that joy is an inside job. In the Science of Mind glossary, joy, the emotion excited by the expectancy of good, gladness, delight, exultation. And did you catch that? It's not by the experience of good. It's not by the creation of good. It's by the expectancy of good. Joy is our natural state. Joy is our natural state. And if we really understand, it's interesting that Deborah lost her bookmarker and it landed on faith because that's quite perfect for this. When we really understand and have faith, we have an expectancy of good. We have an unflinching, uncompromising, I know it because I know it because I know it. It is unshakable. Good is the nature of life. No matter what the appearance is, back of it is good. And sometimes garbage has to get out of the way for us to find it, for us to be it. It's just that simple. And can we learn how to experience joy, true joy, to be expectancy? And I'll tell you, in Science of Mind, when I hear the word expectancy, it's easy to get it confused with expectation. It's not the same. Right? So I invite you to hear expectancy as expect and see. Expect good and then see it. Because when we see it, we'll be it. But you have to see it before it shows up. When we do see what we don't see, that whole little mind twist, right? We have to know, we have to have faith that it already exists. There is nothing outside of you that is coming to save you. You already are everything you need to be. You cannot be more powerful than you are. You cannot be more magnificent than you were born. You cannot have more God delivered to you than was born in you. It's just not possible. You already are that. And so we learn to laugh at ourselves. And so I'll tell you a few occasions where in my life, if you were videotaping it, it might not have been so funny, but really it was hysterical. Back in North Carolina, my son and I decided we were going to have some chickens. And so in the wintertime, actually spring, but it still was winter there, we put the chicken coop, little one, for the pullets inside. Actually, they weren't even pullets yet, but for the little fuzzy chicks on the kitchen table. in the trailer we lived in. And it was really cool because they were right there, and it was just me and him, so we didn't have to navigate anybody else caring that the kitchen was literally full of chickens and they weren't in the refrigerator. And so they grew up in that little cage, and everything was great. And then came the time to move them out of the cage into their pen outside, and we very carefully moved them out one at a time. And we were like, wow, that worked. Everything was really cool. And so then the last step of the process was to move that little temporary coop off the kitchen table and outside. And as we reached for it, one end of the table that happened to be the end of the table near the end of the trailer just collapsed. And the chicken coop went sailing right out the window. Right? That's hysterical. And we both lost it. And then we had a moment of, how are we going to fix that window? Then it wasn't so funny for a minute. But then, God love him. I influenced him to some level. He said, well, it's outside. That's where we wanted it. He ain't wrong. And we just had to laugh. We got to laugh. Now, eventually the window got fixed and all that. But in the moment, we can get upset and rail and blame one another. We can do all kinds of things other than, well, it's outside. We're at choice. But we become more empowered to choose when we become willing to actually change the lens we look through. Right? If my mental mindset is habitually critical, it's hard to see the humor in anything. And I want to caution us, because so much of humor can be caustic. When I'm talking about humor, I am not talking about laughing at someone else or at someone else's expense. Now, there is a viable place for what's called gallows humor. If you've ever worked in the medical field or in emergency medicine or in law enforcement, right, there's a place for gallows humor. It's not with the victims of crime. They're not going to find it funny, right? And it's a stress reliever. So there's a place for that kind of humor, but know your audience. Know your audience. And be kind in your humor. Be kind. I laughed this morning when I got here and noticed that, oops, I didn't change the time on the clock up there. And I thought, well, this is about humor, so I could just channel my Baptist and Pentecostal roots and keep them here for 2 hours because the clock says it's only 5 minutes to 10. Buckle up. I won't do that. But I thought about it. In closing, I want to share this. To me, it is a delightfully tender and yet humorous conversation between a human being and God. And you'll be able to tell which voice is what. Hey, God. Hello. I'm falling apart. Can you put me back together? I would rather not. Why? Because you aren't a puzzle. What about all the pieces of my life that are falling down onto the ground? Let them stay there a while. They fell off for a reason. Take some time and decide if you really need any of those pieces back. You don't understand. I'm breaking down. No, you don't understand. You are breaking through. What you are feeling are just growing pains. You are shedding the things and the people in your life that are holding you back. You aren't falling apart. You are falling into place. Relax. Take some deep breaths and allow those things you don't need anymore to fall off of you. Quit holding on to the pieces that don't fit you anymore. Let them fall off. Let them go. Once I start doing that, what will be left of me? Only the very best pieces of you. I'm scared of changing. I keep telling you, you are not changing, you are becoming. Becoming who? Becoming who I created you to be. A person of light and love and charity and hope and courage and joy and mercy and grace and compassion. I made you for more than the shadow pieces you have decided to adorn yourself with and that you cling to with such greed and fear. Let those things fall off of you. I love you. Don't change. Become. Become. Become who I made you to be. I'm going to keep telling you this until you remember it. There goes another piece. Yep. Let it be. So, I'm not broken? Of course not. But you are breaking like the dawn. It's a new day. Become. Let's take this into prayer. And so I know that all that the divine is, the joy, the peace, the perfection, the power, the infinite intelligence, abundance, light, love, all that it is, I am. And what is true of me is true of all. Beyond any appearance, the perfection of creation lies waiting to become what it was created to be. And so I know this is true of every living, breathing element of creation. I know that even as I speak, it is true of every citizen and governing official in the country of Russia. I know that it is true of every citizen and leader in the sovereign nation of Ukraine. I know that peace that truly passes an understanding of what is happening is still absolutely present, waiting to become what it was birthed in each to become. And so I speak my word, claiming and affirming that any veil of fear and greed is moving out of the way to reveal the infinite intelligence, the oneness, and experiential empowerment of truth, of connection, of beingness. And as that reveals itself, war stops, because war cannot be aligned with truth. Destruction never aligned with truth. I speak that same word for every political divide in this this United States of America. That there is an awakening that we are so not different than what is happening. That our own history founded in the same behavior rests for healing within us. And that the same truth is revealed within every political faction, in every belief system, bridging every divide until an expression, an experience of oneness is all that is present. I see it. I believe it. Beyond the craziness of humanity, I believe it. Because I sense it, I experience it at the very core of my being. And so I say yes, yes, use me, yes. And I celebrate however that shows up. I celebrate whatever the demand is. I celebrate my capacity, my privilege to say yes. And I invite you to join me, if it is alive in you, to stand in love, for love, as love, to stand in peace, as peace, for peace, to be the activity and center, consciously, intentionally, as peace, to join me as we say together, and so it is. Just take a breath. So this is our time of conscious giving. It is that time where we give generously of our treasure to support and sustain this ministry, this community that we know as Sierra Center for Spiritual Living. So if you're joining us online, I invite you to, even as we're speaking, to go to www.sierracenter.org, donate.html, and participate in supporting the center that has served you this morning. For those of us in the room, the basket is on its way. Let's say our prosperity affirmation together, shall we? I give this gift with love and joy from a consciousness of abundance. Divine love blesses and prospers all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
All right, Juanita, do you have your kazoo ready? Da, 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 love, 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 There's nothing you can know that isn't known. Nothing you can see that isn't shown. Nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. All you need is love.
All together now.
All you need is love.
Everybody.
All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Love is all you need.
That is all.
Love is all you need.
That is all.
Love is all you need.
That is all. Shows you love.
So I speak a word of blessing, a word of gratitude for the infinite formed as money, knowing that we give through Sierra Center for Spiritual Living to do good work in the world and manifest creation in integrity and wholeness in alignment with itself. And so it is. So, couple of reminders. There is no Going Deeper discussion group this week. Mark your calendars for April 1st. Plan to join us for First Friday, the first Friday fun service. If you haven't seen the movie The Labyrinth, I promise you it will be enjoyable. It is a very fun movie and a very spiritual movie, which is why we're watching it. Thank you, Deborah Ellis, for being our practitioner this morning and being in service to our community. Thank you, Mary Lou, for being our PowerPoint person this morning. Thank you, Juanita, for being our live stream behind the curtain and for being our one of our musicians this morning.
Give it up for Juanita.
Thank you, Jill Wiggins, for this beautiful orchid. Thank you, Kate Stewart, for the beautiful flowers right next to them. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, technology, for being Have this morning, because you certainly were not yesterday. Yeah, I think that's it. Did I forget anything? Last chance. Change your thinking, change your life starts Tuesday. This is your last chance to sign up. So I'm just saying, you could actually put this stuff into practice, and in 5 weeks, I promise you, you will have a different tool to change your life. Okay. That said, let's stand and do our benediction. Something wonderful is happening as me right now. It is this thing called integrity. It is this thing called wholeness. It is this thing called joy. I know it. I feel it. I sense it because I am it. And so it is.
So it is.
All yours, musicians.
All right, sing it with me now. I give myself